Hi guys, follow me on Instagram to never ever miss any of my crazy updates. Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I'm at this awesome Mahindra test facility to drive the XUV700. But till we reach the car, let me tell you about this awesome car perfume I'm using from my favorite car perfume brand, Involve Your Senses. This is the French wood and has a very nice woody fragrance. It smells amazing, has a special blend and not the normal lemon or lavender. It's easy to regulate. You can just regulate it using this switch here. And you can easily install it in the car as well. It specifically suits SUVs like this, the XUV700, and honestly I love the smell of the car now because of this amazing perfume. Now I'm going to show you the key of this vehicle. This is it, the key of the XUV700 with the new Mahindra logo. Now it's a flip key. It's a key which we have seen in almost every other Mahindra car. Straight away I'm going to be opening the engine bay of this vehicle, and trust me on this, this is extremely heavy. My goodness, they have put so much weight. It's super duper heavy. There's insulation right there, and that is the engine. It is vibrating a bit because it is of course a diesel. It's very hot as well. There's some pink liquid there right in front. Okay, I'm going to put this down. Now this is the new Mahindra logo for SUVs. Kind of looks like the old Maruti Suzuki logo, and the design is kind of an evolution of the XUV500, but it is a hit or a miss. I mean, I love the way the lights have been done. These are all LED units, but the grille is well, the 7-slat unit. It's made of plastic. Yeah, it's a plastic grille, and it has like big air dams as well. There is the front camera. So 360-degree camera is optional on this car. There are actually 6 optional things on this car, part of some optional packs which we'll discuss later. Here you see there is a functional air dam as well. This is the fog light. Again, everything is LED. This is the LED DRL, and that is the sequential indicator which is functional right now. You can see the lights look really very nice, and being all LED units also have a fantastic throw, although I don't understand why there's some tape left on the car in certain places. Yeah, there's some tape left on the car. Now they have used gloss black. The good thing about the new XUV is that they have not overdone things like they had done with the XUV500. So there's no motif here or there, any of that sort. This is actually the towing hook of the vehicle, and this is the light without the sequential indicator functioning. Meanwhile, when you come to the side, again you realize it's a evolution of the old XUV500, the new XUV700. It's got these smart door handles, which by the way, in the optional pack, if you press a button, they come out. Here they do not. That option is not there on our particular test car today. However, the wheels actually look small in size, in spite of the fact that these are 235/60 18s. Yeah, similar to the XUV500. However, lower variants actually get 17 inches. Alloy wheel design could have been better. Diamond cut wheels is what they tell. However, it doesn't look that adventurous. You see the profile is actually good. The sidewall, which is good for ride quality. And there is a suspension. Meanwhile, okay, this could have been colored. Kind of looks unfinished as such. And talking about unfinished, there is a reason why they have come to an aggressive price point. Cost cutting has been done in certain areas, which I will be talking about and showing you in this vlog today. For instance, the old XUV500 actually had a logo projection of XUV500 on the floor. This car does not have it, although there's some sort of a dummy unit here from where it should have been doing it. There is the side camera, 360-degree camera it has. Okay, the indicator is right there. The roof rails don't seem functional, and they seem a little flimsy as well, so you can't really mount anything there. You can see the roof of the car. There's a shark fin antenna. There's this chrome line which runs on the lower half. Okay, let's quickly go through the door handles first. So this is the door handle, and yeah, you have to actually press it to remove it. At times it doesn't even go inside. Yeah, so you driving the car and it's still popping out. Doesn't really help in aerodynamic efficiency in that regard. Now the seat is completely reclined at the moment, so I can just press this button to fold it, but it does not pop open like should be the case, so people can get in from this side. No, it doesn't happen here at least. And I'm going to put it back into position. So it's upright like this, and then you can recline it in a nice angle as well. We'll come to the interior in a bit. First and foremost, the doors, they shut with a properish thud as such. So what they've done is they have actually evolved the design. I don't know if you guys like it or not, but it's unmistakably an XUV500 replacement. Although there's going to be a new version in 2024 which is going to be like a Creta rival. Also right now at this price point, it is actually rivaling the Creta. Now it says XUV700, although this is a 00. However, OH is how they pronounce O. AX7, which is a top trim. T is for, I think, the powertrain option of the vehicle. Again, sequential indicators at the rear. These are arrow head lights. Lights look really nice. but there is a bulb right there. So they're not all LED units. Again, this is the bulb. This is the light which actually blinks when you apply brakes. Okay, although this light seems to be blinking, but that's not the case at the moment. Now, parking sensors are only 2 at the rear. You would expect more at this price point. 1 and 2 parking sensors, sort of a reflector treatment there, and the exhausts are placed right there. There is a single exhaust for the diesel. That is a spare wheel, which is a smaller size tire, and it is not an alloy, of course. And you can see the underbody of this car. Meanwhile, the paint actually looks pretty nice. This paint scheme specifically, I love it. From certain angles, the car looks really fantastic. The new Mahindra logo seems like an afterthought because you can see they made changes here. So I think the old logo was what they had in mind, because this is what the ex-Tata designer has designed once he joined Mahindra, and he joined recently, and this car is on test since almost donkey's years. This also sticks out, the reverse parking camera. Okay, let's open the boot. We have to be a little careful. This is from where the spray actually comes. There's a wiper here. I don't know why there's something stuck right there. Okay, there is a light, high mounted stop lamp, not really a rear spoiler. Let's open the boot of the vehicle, and I press a button. Boot is not usable with all the rows up, unfortunately. So yeah, it's a 7-seater, but it's better off as a 5-seater with some luggage. So I've actually reclined this seat. So this bag is going to fall any moment. Okay, you got a 50-50 split seat here, and you can just press this and recline the seat completely to increase the boot carrying capacity. Now there's a hook right there for securing a luggage, and there's a cup holder right there. Speaker placement, so you can count. Okay, there's only one speaker here, and AC vents also placed right there. The person sitting behind can actually push this seat like that, so that it's easy for him or her to get in and out of the vehicle. Meanwhile, AC controls are given right there for the rear passenger. Yeah, for the fan speed, of course. And there's a 12-volt charging socket as well. Again, the hook I was talking about. Let's push this seat back into place, and there it is. Now it can be reclined, yeah, and once it reclines, yeah, something or the other will fall down because the boot is just inadequate. I'm just going to take the liberty of pushing things inside, otherwise things are going to fall. I'm facing a space crunch at the moment. Let's pull this back and let's recline this completely. Now I was expecting an electric tailgate, because when I reviewed the XUV700 facelift, I'm like, Mahindra is adding so many features. An electric tailgate is something which is definitely going to come. Here is where you fill the fuel of the vehicle. This is for the AdBlue, of course, and the door handles are a little gimmicky, I would say, but they say it's done for aerodynamic purpose. Of course, I believe them. And here I'm just going to push this back into place. Now the good thing is, in order to recline this, let me put the key inside because it's making a lot of noise. Stop making sound. I think the indicator is on. Can you turn off the indicator? So the indicator is working. That's the reason it's making this alert sound. Makes a lot of alert sounds. Door pockets are actually big enough, and it tells you the bottle has to be put here. Gloss black finishing on the doors, and sort of a wood treatment as well. So they've used a lot of colors to just, give it a different kind of an appearance. Okay, now here it's a one finger operation to tumble the seat. The good news is that there is decent amount of space on offer. Let me push this further behind. So there you can recline it. Recline angle is definitely very nice here. The floor is almost flat, which means that 3 people can be comfortable. However, the cabin isn't as wide, and this obviously intrudes inside the center console, the behind part. So legroom can be a sort of an issue. There's a USB-C charging socket, and there is a storage space here. AC vents are only in the center, none on the side, none on the top as well. There's a light placement on the top though, and there's a hook as well as a handle, which is on both the sides, of course. Meanwhile, you see gloss black finishing. The seats look nice. This treatment on the seat also is fantastic. 3 people can be a tough fit. Mahindra knows that. That's the reason center passenger does not get a head, doesn't get an adjustable headrest. However, there is a center armrest with twin cup holders, and overall I would say kneeroom and legroom is very good indeed. Under thigh support is also decent. Headroom is kind of adequate, I would say. Meanwhile, there's this boss mode, so I can actually push this seat ahead. Yeah, I can just push this seat ahead or behind using this lever which has been given, so much like what we've seen in the Skoda Superb. And the front seat belts also get the height adjust function, and you get 7 airbags, a full curtain right there, along with 2 at the front, and you also get an airbag for the knee for the driver. Now I was talking about speakers. 2 speakers are here as well. 2 speakers are there, 2 tweeters, 2 on the top, 2 at the rear. So it also gets a subwoofer and a 13-channel amplifier. And I think the overall output from this Sony 3D surround sound system, which is by the way optional, is I think around 425 watt or something. We'll come to that in a bit. Scooped out seat back, magazine holder too, What do you think about the dashboard design? It's a completely new dashboard design. Thankfully, they didn't think that we should be doing evolution on that front. Okay, so I would say the middle row is not as spacious as the Tata Safari, and the problem is that the seat doesn't have a sliding mechanism, so you cannot move the center seat ahead or behind to kind of compromise with the legroom for the third row of passengers. So that's also missing in this car. So that's where they have done cost cutting. Let's get inside. Okay, now this is actually for the lumbar adjustment. Seats are decently comfortable and I love this treatment as well, but there is no ventilated function for the seats. Yeah, Hyundai has been offering it in the Creta, but there is none in this car. Unfortunately, that is a feature they should have offered. There is a proper dead pedal there. This is a manual, of course, and this is for the traction control button. This is for the downhill assist, and this is for stop start system. This is for the headlight leveler. Meanwhile, these are the controls for the outside rear view mirror adjustment. This is to, if you want to close the mirror, you can do that with the press of a button. These are the controls for the power windows. The driver side gets a one touch up and down. The others do not. Meanwhile, this is to lock or unlock the vehicle, and this is for the rear child lock. Now you see this wood treatment has been carried forward here. There are two dummy buttons. I think this will be for the ventilation as well as the heating of the seat for export models or probably for the facelift. And this is right out of a Mercedes car. Okay, you get 3 settings. You can save up to 3 people's settings, actually memory function, and 6-way adjustable seat as well. But this is so much like a Mercedes, and so are those screens, which are 10.25-inch units. Actually, the lower MX trim gets an 8-inch infotainment system and a 7-inch instrument cluster. However, this one gets a 10.25-inch, which is actually much better. Like I was telling you, this is optional as well. Plenty of optional kit inside this car. So seats are very nice at the front. And you know what? Twin cup holders here where I'm going to be keeping the Involve 1 French wood. It perfectly slots into place. Yeah, perfectly slots into place. I just have to push it down, and there you see. So I like to use different kind of perfumes for different cars because Involve Your Senses has a variety of options and a variety of types as well. The dashboard design looks quite nice, like soft touch plastic here, but hard touch on the top. Really hard plastics lower down, like a lot of hard plastics almost everywhere. There's a wireless charging pad here, which by the way is optional again. There's an electric parking brake, again that is also optional, actually part of the optional pack. And talking about that, you can see this. Let me turn on the lights, off the lights. Okay, this is the blind spot monitor, which again is optional. So there are plenty of things which are in the optional pack. Mahindra should have actually put ADAS as optional and put all these features as standard equipment. Shockingly, it doesn't get an auto dimming inside rear view mirror, which is really surprising, and this also feels very flimsy. There is no mirror right there. Okay, that's kind of weird. Very Mahindra Thar inspired speaker placement on the top, and here you obviously get a mirror, but you do not get a light. So you see cost cutting has been done in certain areas. Let's open this. Okay, there is good amount of storage space, and there's another storage space on the top which is actually deep enough. So storage space is not a problem because there's another storage space here where you can keep a phone as well and 2 USB charging sockets. These are regular USBs, not USB-C. USB-C is at the rear. Okay, like I was telling you, there's plenty of storage space here for twin cup holders. This also slides, and below here as well there's storage space. You can keep the key, and this is actually cooled. Yeah, this is a cooled box. It has decent amount of space as well. Meanwhile, these are very much again like what we've seen in Mercedes with the command controller. This you can program to be the volume controller, too big, or to just browse through. This is to get in the music system. This is a favorite you can set for anything. This is for phone call, and this is to go into the home at the back menu. It gets the auto hold function here. Meanwhile, these are plenty of controls. This is obviously for the airbag system. This is for seatbelt warning. This is for the hazard light, and this is for the camera system. This button, I do not even know what it means. And this is for the drive mode selector. Unfortunately, you can only press it down. You cannot press it up. Yeah. And when you decide something, it doesn't move. Like I'm pressing, it doesn't move. I have to actually select it by touching the touch screen. These look very conventional. Get the chrome surround. This is the start stop button for the engine. These are the controls for the air conditioning. Gets a dual zone climate control air conditioning system. Air conditioning works like a charm. So much gloss black now, it's like a fingerprint magnet. Meanwhile, the steering wheel is adjustable both for reach as well as rake. Okay, sometimes it takes some effort to move it. Oh, yesterday the car I saw, it had it. Maybe the manual is not having a reach adjust, only height adjust. So yeah, that's kind of surprising because it's not moving at the moment, or maybe it's stuck. Okay, oh, it takes a lot of effort. These are the controls for the headlights. It gets front and rear fogs, of course. Automatic headlights, automatic wipers as well. Wipers work really well. You see, it has decent amount of spray on offer. Meanwhile, these screens are wonderful. They're like one long screen for the instrument cluster as well as the infotainment system. But first, we are going to come to the buttons on the steering wheel. These are for the cruise control and these are for the audio system, and this is for voice commands as well, which work with Alexa. Unfortunately, Alexa is not active on this car, but it works with Alexa, and it's got something known as Adrenox, which is the connected car tech, which has 60 features. Okay, you see SOS button here. These are for the lights. And the connected car features are the usual bits which you've seen on a lot of other connected cars. Okay, here you have got a sunglass holder. Meanwhile, let's open the massive roof. Now they call it the sky roof and they claim it to be the biggest in the segment, which they are right. It is the longest in the segment, but not the widest. I think the Safari sunroof is slightly wider, but I like the way Tata has managed to do the sunroof on their car, because what happens is that this has only one switch to control all these things. In Tata, you have multiple buttons. So like I don't want to open the sunblind. Don't open. But it is going to open and close as per the button. Only one button you have to press, and you have to decide how you press it. And depending on that, and depending on your luck, it will decide how it wants to open. Not in the case of the Safari, because you have independent buttons to up, sunblind down, and all these parameters. It kind of extends till the rear as well, and you get a rear door handle there too. Now, I did not get into the last row of seats. I'll tell you why. First and foremost, there is no space on offer in the last row of seats. Okay, there is just no space on offer. It's best for kids, and because this second row does not slide now, getting any leg room there is really very difficult. So I'm just going to tumble this. Nurin, can you move your seat a little bit ahead? So yeah, it gets stuck right there. Yeah, now this tumbling is very easy. You see, there is poor under thigh support. There's no leg room or knee room on offer. Headroom is just about adequate. So last row is best for children. You might as well buy this car as a 5-seater. Do not get the last row of seats and get a bigger boot, because the boot is useless with the 7 seats up, and the last row is anyways useless. So it's best to use it as a 5-seater. There is a cup holder right there. Although I don't know if aliens are going to sit there, drink cold coffee or not. Meanwhile, let's just put this back into place. Now, like I was telling you, it has missed out on certain amount of features which I expected. Like I was telling you, it should have had sliding seats, but I kind of think there is no sliding seat for a reason. They just wanted to make sure that the middle row passengers don't have to quarrel with the last row of passengers. I think that is the compromise you have to make when you're buying this car over the Safari, which has that feature. Okay, there's a puddle lamp right there, and I've not been able to find keyless entry either. So you know what, you have to actually unlock the car with the key, because that keyless entry function doesn't seem to be there, although there is a push button start. Now let's get to these two screens. Okay, they're very nicely done, look fantastic, but can be a bit confusing. So actually the screen is this much, and there is a big panel in between. This panel is just like black area. Nothing is there, absolutely nothing. Very slick to use. It gets wireless CarPlay as well as Android Auto, although they're not active on the car currently. Let's get into reverse. You have to press this knob and lift, and there it gets into reverse. Reverse parking camera is very nice. You get a 360-degree view as well. It has parking sensors. This also doubles up as a driver rear view monitor. The guidelines are adaptive too, and then you've got another mode to see it, a wider view, which again is pretty awesome. I am just going to browse through this very quickly. It has got navigation as well. And there are some smart bits. So it says fun in XUV700, fun with XUV700. So what is the fun in? Well, music, phone, navigation, I believe. Let's come to the home part of things. And when you get into fun with, well, it's taking some time to load. Okay, it's going to show me what is the trip data, what is the top speed, average speed, kilometers and whatnot. And 1 second, let me get into this again. I wanted to see what else is on offer. Oh, it's got a lap freaking timer. That's so unnecessary. Okay, let's see. It bases the mode, you can see different data, but it's kind of slow in spite of the fact it uses a Qualcomm chip, and it says selected drive mode not set. So it can get a little complex, but you can change a lot of things here, like all the parameters, multiple things, Wi-Fi, EcoSense, display and whatnot. Yeah, but it still needs to be ironed out. It's not completely fluid. Now this is a nice screen. You can see it's showing me the tire direction, and obviously the cluster changes as per the mode. So I'm going to change the drive mode to maybe zap, and you can see, 1 second, I think we are stuck in another menu. I'm just going to leave it at normal, and then we're going to come out of this. So here, when you get into zoom, there it says zoom mode activated. Pretty nice graphic as well. So I'm glad they've done a full digital instrument cluster, which is very nice and kind of funky as well. Plenty of information, and you have a custom mode for you can decide how you want to configure various aspects of the car, which is basically the engine, power, brakes, climate, steering and the theme. You can decide which theme you want to see. Somehow it's getting dark, so these screens are not really visible in bright sunlight, so they should have ironed out that issue. And you see, this fit finish is also not the best, so fit finish could have been much better somehow. That is something where they kind of missed out. The car also gets cornering lamps. It doesn't get a conversation mirror or even ambient lighting, which is there in the XUV500, so they've cut corners there. Now it gets cruise control and all that stuff, but we are going to get into the menu. So you press this button and you can browse to a lot of information like driver assistance systems and obviously audio system, display layout. You can change the display layout too, which also changes with the drive modes, but you can decide if you want it normal or you want something like an information overload. So we're just going to do that, and when we do that, now the multi-information display in the center becomes bigger and the ones on the side, they kind of become smaller. So we're going to change that again. The thing is, this particular button, which is the favorite button, can be assigned to anything, and right now I've assigned it to the driver assistance system, obviously. So we are going to browse through and get into the settings things. Now you obviously have alert, history, driver info, and all those regular bits, which is nothing fancy in these days. Now in the settings, you can browse through a lot of stuff. Like I was telling you, it has a blind view monitoring system, see, on both the sides, and it makes this kind of weird sound, although it takes a couple of seconds to just close that screen after you have turned off the indicator, and works with the indicator, of course. Now in terms of driver assistance systems, it's got plenty of stuff like forward collision warning, auto emergency braking. It's got lane keep assist, which will not only warn you but also alter the steering wheel. It will also pull you back into a lane. It's got something known as high beam assist, which at 80 kilometers per hour boosts the intensity of the headlight. It's got traffic sign recognition. Now in auto emergency braking, you have the option to decide, do you want forward collision warning, do you want auto emergency braking, and you want what warning level for the same. So you can also decide whether you want it early, late, or normal. Okay, the basic stuff which we've seen in a lot of Mercedes cars is now coming to mass market cars like this Mahindra XUV700. It's also got a drowsiness detection system, so in case you kind of fall asleep, it's going to nudge the steering wheel. And I know this logo now looks like a butterfly to a lot of you, does to me as well. Now we're going to press this favorite button, we're going to play an audio right away. Audio quality is actually nice, but not as nice as I expected it to be, considering it's a Sony 3D surround sound system with Sony speakers and whatnot. Could have been better compared to the hardware on offer, and maybe they're still fine-tuning that system. But overall, this car is loaded with a lot of features, still misses out on certain features, and quality levels could have been definitely better. Let's start driving right away. But before we start driving, let me tell you a couple of more things. You can actually take screenshots here, which are then saved in the gallery. Meanwhile, there's actually an umbrella holder right here. Yeah, that is an umbrella holder. It's kind of handy. And when you leave the vehicle, when you turn off the vehicle, and then the seat actually moves behind so you can comfortably get out. And same is the thing when you actually unlock the car and open the door, again the seat goes behind so that you can get to your comfortable position. Then you turn on the car, the seat moves ahead. So very nifty features in that sense. And although this is the optional audio system, where is the Sony thing written? Yeah, there it is. Actually, the reality is it comes with a 6-speaker system, which is not really branded as such. And this boot is made of fiber. In order to ensure that they could do these arrowhead tail lights, they went for a fiber tailgate. Okay, they have actually kind of neutralized the weight by offering a lightweight here and a heavyweight hood at the front. You see, lot of plastics everywhere. In fact, here too, and you've got 2 handles to close the boot. That's also quite handy. Let's start driving right away. Alright, we are all set to go, which means first and foremost, we're going to turn off the air conditioning. We are going to get into zoom drive mode. Yeah, there it is, zoom drive mode. Traction control off. Into first gear, left foot on the clutch. Revving the motor, revs to 3000 RPM. That's 100. Whoa. Yeah, brakes could be much better. The braking performance could be a lot better. Stop making sounds. Car is stalled at the moment. And here we are into first gear. Off we go. Does a lot of wheel spin even with traction control on. That's the surprising part. So here you see, turning radius isn't much, but you get into the throttle, the tires do screech a lot. And you see, red line comes in at 4800 RPM, but peak power actually comes at 5000 RPM. So you can never get to the peak power of this car. So you're going to stand on the brakes again. Here, I'm just going to put it in neutral. Makes quite a lot of noise, and the hazard light turns on, and this sounds, some weird sound keeps coming. Okay, let's go again. Now we are going to go around this circle to see how this car is actually able to perform. And I'll tell you something, around the corners, yes, there is good amount of grip, but it does understeer quite a bit. Like you can, yeah, a lot of understeer. The good thing is that traction control actually turns on after 60 kilometers per hour. When I turn it off, it automatically turns on after 60 kilometers per hour. Now I'm going to walk you through each gear, how it performs. Again, hard onto the brakes. It does nosedive quite a bit. Okay, it makes this sound continuously. Into first gear, revving the motor, and off we go. First gear 40, second gear 70. Oh, notchy gearbox. Third gear, it should do past 100 kilometers per hour, I believe, but that we'll see in a bit. Motor gets quite vocal. Yeah, it is a very vocal engine as such. Revving the motor. The motor is actually screaming. It absolutely screams and feels very uncomfortable in the top end of the rev range. And in third gear, it will reach almost 105 kilometers per hour. So overall handling and performance is much better than before for sure, but still things could be a lot better. Let's head out to a more open space to drive. Now we are at the high speed track. Into first gear, revving the motor, rev till 3000 RPM. Wheel spins on upshift is a lot of grunt. Drivability is actually quite nice, and this motor has a good mid-range as well. Lacks in the top end completely. You know what? The good thing here is that the motor has a lot of room thanks to 185 horsepower, which comes in at 5000 RPM, but this car does not redline at 5000 RPM. It redlines at 4800 RPM. The petrol does 200 kilometers per hour, and the petrol is the M Stallion motor, which is a 2-liter unit turbocharged. Obviously fantastic, produces 200 horsepower, and the torque output from the petrol is equally impressive at 380 Newton meters. Meanwhile, the torque output from this motor is 420 Newton meters, which comes in at a low 1600 RPM and stays there till almost, I think, 2800 RPM. Meanwhile, the torque output is 30 Newton meters more in the automatic, although that is a 6-speed torque converter, which will be slightly slower with shift. Here we're going to get into 6th gear. The gearbox is not very slick shifting, unfortunately. I mean, it is a bit notchy, and the clutch also has a lot of play. So yeah, that could have been better. But the 6-speed ASIN sourced torque converter automatic gearbox, which is the 3rd generation automatic, will offer smooth shifts, but is not very quick. I would say the manual is still the better option and obviously more efficient as well. And this should return a fuel efficiency between 9 to 13 kilometers per liter, depending on your driving style. High speed noise, you can hear a bit in terms of wind. It's very windy at this track, but road noise is decently well contained because the engine noise is so much. The engine is really very, very vocal in this car, and the reason for the vocalness of the engine is simple. Because this is a diesel motor and it's kind of old. The 2.2 liter M-Hog motor is definitely an old unit, and compared to modern units from Hyundai supposedly, which is very refined, this one does make quite a lot of sound as well, and the sound is fine. Why? Because you're not really going to take it into the top end of the rev range, because there's where it becomes very uncomfortable. Overall acceleration, I would say, is brisk enough, and this car offers ample performance. Can you see the blind spot monitor? It makes this sound whenever the blind spot monitor is on. Obviously, you can turn off that sound. Talking about sound, you can actually program the speed alert in your own voice, but the menu is a little complex for me to actually be able to figure out where that is as well. Now, the MX variant of the XUV700 is actually producing lesser power, 155 horsepower and 360 Newton meters of torque, which is very similar to what the XUV500 produces. So that is done in the interest of getting an even more attractive price point. And talking about price point, the base variant, which is the gasoline, the MX, is priced at 14.46 lakhs on road Mumbai. And then there's so many variants that can get really confusing, because there are two series. There's the MX series and there's the AX series, and the MX series has one variant. Meanwhile, the AX series has 3 variants, out of which we are driving the top end variant, the AX7. Okay, that also has the option of petrol and diesel. So there's the option of 5-seater and 7-seater as well, and then there's the option of manual and automatic, and beyond that there's another option of getting all-wheel drive. So a lot of variants, and then there's the optional packages as well. So I think Mahindra has gone overboard with offering so many variants, but I believe this car is going to undercut the Safari in spite of offering more features, which is absolutely baffling. Yes, the Safari is still the better car in terms of overall road presence, I believe, and also in terms of the handling, the steering feel, it gets a hydraulic steering wheel. This one kind of artificially weighs up. It doesn't feel scary, it feels stable enough at high speeds, but the problem is that the steering feels super duper light at low speeds, doesn't really feel like it's weighing up as such, and the engine never lacks grunt. That's typical Mahindra affair. Any speed you get into the throttle, it absolutely responds. That is a level of performance, and the gearbox is something which could have been so much more smoother, so much more refined, and I don't know, they're still not getting their gearboxes right, because there's that notchy feel. Sometimes you want to shift from second to third, you get that feeling that, oh no, it's not slotting into place properly. Now of course the 3 drive modes alter the engine as well as the steering wheel and other parameters which we discussed earlier, but I don't feel the difference on the steering wheel, to be honest. Okay, I can feel the difference in terms of the engine because the map obviously changes. The zip mode is like the eco mode, the zap mode is like the city mode, and the zoom mode is like, of course, the sport mode, and the cluster is also paired to change accordingly as well. So car remains very glued, doesn't feel hairy at all. So I think they have made a big step up in terms of dynamics for sure, and even the ride quality is very nice. The thing is, they're using FSD, which is frequency selective dampers, which is something similar which is used by the Jeep Compass. What exactly is it? Well, basically you can call it adaptive dampers, but a cheaper version of the same. Essentially it does the same thing. The traction control keeps turning on at 60 kilometers per hour, and the autonomous emergency braking, and that turns off when you turn off traction control. So yeah, we were talking about the frequency selective dampers. What it essentially does is it has a built-in valve which is able to filter out low and high frequency shocks, and depending on the kind of shocks, it's able to control the oil flow to the dampers. So when there is a high frequency shock, it actually restricts the movement of the oil, resulting in, of course, rigidity, and that results in better cornering ability, less nosedive under heavy braking, although it still nosedives quite a bit under heavy braking. And when you're driving it slowly over slow bumps or bad potholes, then it does not firm up the damper, thereby having the oil flow moving, resulting in a softer damper setting and a better ride quality as well. And I think the ride quality is really very good on this car. Nothing much to complain on that front. If I have to complain about something, I would definitely be like, okay, the handling could have been better, because the steering doesn't really connect with you. It kind of feels artificial, although body roll is decently well contained, and at high speeds now it doesn't feel nervous at all. Now there's so many features and electronic tech in this car. Like, it has got torque vectoring by braking. What does it do? It applies brakes to the inside wheels around the corner to ensure that understeer is contained, but still it does understeer quite a bit. And that said, I feel that even though they are going to undercut the Safari has overall better dynamics. The Safari actually kind of seems very pricey now. It starts at 18.41 lakhs for the base variant, which has literally nothing to offer in terms of features. But the top end Safari goes to 27 lakhs for the adventure model, adventure persona, whatever that is. Meanwhile, this one, the top end with all-wheel drive, should cost somewhere between 25 to 26 lakhs, undercutting the Safari by 2 lakhs. And if you take all-wheel drive in picture, you're going to pay additional 2 lakhs for all-wheel drive. You're going to pay additional 1.5 lakh alone for automatic over manual. So you see, the price difference is still on Mahindra's side, and Mahindra has really managed to offer great pricing with the XUV700, and that's the reason why it's going to sell in really great numbers. When you talk about the MX variants, the price difference between petrol and diesel is just rupees 50,000, which is actually nothing, but that difference will increase obviously because that's a less powerful diesel engine on offer. I also want you guys to see a bit of the safety systems on this car, specifically ADAS. So right now we are experiencing adaptive cruise control. This is the stop and go feature. You see my legs are not touching the brake pedal or the accelerator pedal. That car, when it applies brake, this car automatically applies brakes, and this is very convenient to drive in stop and go traffic, ensuring that whenever the other person applies brakes, you don't have to do anything at all. However, in case of emergencies, obviously you have to be alert, because if that car suddenly stops, this car might not. Your leg should be near the brake pedal for sure. So right now we are stuck behind this vehicle. It's driving at 30 kilometers per hour. The car has decreased its speed because of adaptive cruise control. Here we're going to get out of the lane. I'm not accelerating at all. It's going to pick up speed. I think I've set it at around 60 kilometers per hour, and we're just going to get back into the lane. Now, another thing is that right now we are trying the lane keep assist. So as soon as I wander, it pulls me back into the lane. It makes this sound as well. So first thing is there's a lane departure warning which happens. Yeah, you see lane departure warning with the sound, and then it pulls me back. So if I try to go very aggressively, it will give me the sound. It's also showing it to me in the display. Meanwhile, if I am actually not wandering too much, now it's able to pull me back into the lane as well. There, see, it makes a sound, and there, it's telling me keep hands on the steering wheel. Oh my god, the graphic is so much like what I've seen in the recent Mercedes S-Class. Now we're checking the traffic sign recognition, and there's a speed limit of 80 kilometers per hour. There's a board there. Let's see if the car is able to recognize it or not. And no, it did not recognize it. Yeah, it did, but after we passed the sign, of course. Coming to a curve, it's not going to apply brakes. I have to apply brakes. But what happens now when you're using adaptive cruise control? Interestingly, on a curve, it's not going to accelerate. It waits till it reaches a straight and then it gets back to the regular speed. So if you set a speed of 60 kilometers per hour, you are entering the curve at 40 kilometers per hour, you have applied brake, and then you're back onto cruise control. You expect it to go back to 60. It's not going to do it around a curve. It's going to do it on a straight. So we're going to be trying automatic emergency braking. So we're going to be driving at a speed of 20 kilometers per hour. There's a pedestrian who's already ahead. And I'm just going to leave the accelerator pedal right now and see if it's going to apply brakes on its own. It should apply it very aggressively. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that's how it's done. For a moment I thought it's not going to do it and it's going to knock off that poor guy. I'm sure you guys like the ADAS on this car, although I'm not too sure how it's going to work in the Indian environment. Now we're driving the petrol automatic air conditioning off into drive, turning off the traction control and into manual mode. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, revving the motor. Wait, what? This is a petrol and it redlines at 5000 RPM. Well, that's not much, but yes, engine feels quite punchy. 200 horsepower. Obviously, it has got a lot of grunt and you can see the performance is absolutely stunning indeed. It has a lot of grunt indeed, and we're going to go in the rightmost lane because we can. Okay, now you see the way this car goes. First and foremost, the angle is just amazing. Car feels very grippy. It has got rollover mitigation, so it doesn't feel hairy at all. It maintains its line, and I feel the petrol could have done with better refinement for sure. We're going to come down, but I am quite surprised by the way this car is able to change lanes, because it doesn't feel very SUV-ish to drive. You know why? It feels light. It doesn't have that SUV, composure. The steering is super light, so that SUV-ness is kind of lacking. Onto the throttle, full on the gas, and you can see performance is really very nice. Now it gets really windy, on the front end I can feel a bit of a judder. Onto the throttle, there are no drive modes as such, but I don't understand why it redlines so fast. Drivability is good. Okay, I can feel a bit of shake from the front wheels, but for the most part I think high-speed stability is really very nice, although it gets really very noisy as such as you push it hard and fast. Meanwhile, this is actually a dummy button which actually closes this screen, and they're telling me that ventilated seats are also going to be offered. So some amount of confusion here and there, but that said, I'm quite impressed by the petrol engine, although it's going to drink much more fuel compared to the diesel. I think fuel economy should be between 6.5 to almost 10.5, 11 kilometers per litre, which is not bad. Gear shift could have been a little bit more enthusiastic. Petrol manual would be fantastic to drive without a doubt, although I am not understanding one simple thing. Why doesn't Mahindra give a higher red line to its engines? For a petrol, this is like 5000 RPM, nothing at all. I'm going to shift myself. I guess we are in manual mode. This is a car which will do 200 kilometers per hour. That is the level of grunt on offer, and I don't see why it cannot, because the engine is having 200 freaking horsepower. Along with 200 horsepower, the torque output is again fantastic at 380 Newton meters. So as I see it, petrol engine is fantabulous, really very nice, but kind of feels like a diesel in the way it redlines, and also feels like a diesel in terms of the sound it makes. So paddle shifters should have also been offered. Gearbox takes its own sweet time to downshift, but yeah, decently quick with shifts and it's smooth enough, so not much to complain about. And onto the gas, okay, now it won't make a downshift for sure because I'm in a manual mode, but here, come on, give me a downshift. Yeah, there it gives me a downshift, revs fast. Fantastic motor, yeah. What an engine. I really like this motor. I do. I love it in the Thar, and I like it here as well. I think Mahindra's done a fantabulous job with the powertrains on offer, and that's the problem. The Safari does not come with a petrol engine. That's a big problem, although I don't think the petrol engine market is big enough. Now the person ahead is now going to move, so we're going to flash them, and I flashed that dude. He's giving me hazard lights. He's putting brakes. Come on, dude, just move out of my way. Finally, onto the throttle. That is path from motor beam. He's playing dirty with me. Dude, that's not cool. Okay, I think he was talking to the camera, and that's something which I spoiled for him. So guys, this is my vlog of the Mahindra XUV700. You can see the energy in me. You can see I am so excited because this is a petrol engine, and a petrol engine is a petrol engine is a petrol engine, but still a diesel is a diesel is a diesel, because the performance, what I was expecting from the XUV700, considering this is a monocoque chassis car, which is lighter in terms of weight, the petrol is what it does justice to it, but the diesel with its economy and torque rush is the one to buy for sure. If you like this vlog, make sure to give the thumbs up. That's the like button. You can see the composure is mind-blowing. I can't tell you about the ride quality at all. I don't even care about it. What I care about is the performance and where this engine really puts, because where the diesel starts struggling around after 140 kilometers per hour, this one absolutely punches ahead, pushes hard and fast, and brakes also feel kind of better here because obviously less weight at the front. not much of a difference. Turbocharged petrol engine for the win. Make sure to check out the link in the description for this beautiful and amazing French wood perfume from Involve Your Senses. Use my coupon code FASTBEAM to get a 10% discount. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.